Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Health Made Simple Show. I am your host, Dr. Bart, and special episode here because the reason it's special is because you might hear that I am a little stuffed up. So what better time to introduce to you my favorite remedies, if you want to call it, my protocols for when you have sinus issues, especially acute sinus issues, and that's what I'm going to call this. So I had the opportunity to, like many weekends, spend a fair amount of time in my chicken coop and dealing with all the, I was cleaning things out and dust and, and cutting lawns and all that stuff. I just kind of get exposed to everything. Even with that being said, though, it's real important that I make these notes. So everyone listen to this. So I didn't catch something. I was vulnerable because I got my body run down. So I've been speaking last week. I did some travel, had a little extra stress, a little poor sleep. So my body becomes more vulnerable. And then I'm exposed to the environment. And sometimes the environment has the ability to kind of overrun the body. So that's really what I'm talking about. And you can hear it in me right now. I have little snuffles going on. So I want to share with you my favorite protocol that I'm using right now. And I anticipate the next day or so this is going to go away. And listen, no one likes to be uncomfortable. No one likes to be a little run down, and it is what it is. Like, we are the ones who put ourselves in these situations, so it is us that has to do our best that we get ourselves out of these situations. So I'm going to give you three of my best protocol, which is this is kind of a home run protocol to use when you have these acute sinuses. It's a little bit different than if you have chronic allergies. That's a different podcast, a different time. Some of these are definitely overlap, but this is for this acute situation. And we're going to use several herbs here. So this is when you got this acute stuff like me right now. I got sinuses, a little bit of runny nose, I got the itchy eye thing going on, all the above. And we want to knock it out the best we can, but also in a safe, healthy manner. So here we go. All right, a couple things. One, we want to make sure that we're super hydrated through this process. So that's probably the single best medicine that we can have is keeping ourselves super hydrated. When you have these things, sinuses, congestion, a common cold, all the above, they're all producing histamine. So it is constantly using your body's resources, especially when it comes to the resources of your just being hydrated. So make sure you stay super hydrated so your body can flush things through your lymphatic system. So that's where things go to die in the lymphatic system. These little bacteria and things that entered our body. Your body needs to corral these things. It sends them into the lymph nodes, and that's where your white blood cells attack. So if they're doing their job, they might swell up a little. My throat, lymph nodes are a little bit swollen right now. So they're doing their job. Doesn't mean I'm dying or anything. Just means that, hey, my body got exposed. I was a little bit weak, and therefore my body has to work now. It's got to fight some things off. So I want to help my body the best that I can. Truth is, I probably shouldn't be doing this podcast, but I wanted to share it, and I thought it was kind of funny that I'm going to share this one while I'm having it. So, all right. So let me dive in. There's three things. And if you're watching this video, I apologize that, like my nose is running. So it is what it is. All right, there's three things that I want to share with you today that are absolute home runs for your sinuses, congestion, allergies, these things that, your throat, your head, your sinuses, your eyes, itchiness. You kind of got this acute thing going on, and you want to knock it out in a nice, healthy way instead of taking antihistamines and drugs and all that kind of stuff. All right, with that being said, so number one I'm going to go to, and there's no particular order here. I think all three of them work together, and you could stack on top of this, but these are the three that I absolutely go to. Number one is something called Antranex. In fact, I'm going to show you that bottle. I know many of you are just listening to this, but there's a bottle here if you happen to be watching this called Antranex. I don't even know if you can see that. Anyways, Antranex is a beef liver extract. It's called Yakatron. And this extract is going to help your liver drain. So when we're having this increased histamine response, so if you have, like I do, swollen up and you get your nose is running and all that kind of stuff, your throat's a little clogged up, you have increased histamine. So instead of taking an antihistamine, because that's essentially shutting down your immune system, you want to use tools, and we'll get to some of those tools in just a moment, or you want to use tools to help subdue it, or you want to help your liver better handle the histamine. So if your body can handle, especially the liver, can handle all these different bacteria and all this junk, all this stuff that's causing these allergies, if our body can handle this, then we can reduce the amount of histamine the body's producing. So number one is Antranex. I take a lot of them, so probably 3 times a day. The beauty of Antranex is, and if you're really bold and you're into getting things done, chew them and just on an empty stomach. What'll happen is it'll help your body actually increase the amount of flushing and then it kind of clears up pretty fast. But you'll need to do that several times a day and until all these symptoms are particularly gone. So it's definitely right before bed and definitely first thing in the morning and probably one time throughout the course of the day. So Echinacea is number one. Number two is something called Sinus Forte. Absolutely fantastic. I'll do our best to make sure these are all in the show notes here. Sinus Forte is a fantastic combination of herbs, and I love these herbs. Number one is Eyebright. And so there's Eyebright, Goldenrod, Golden Seal, and Echinacea. And let me talk about what Eyebright essentially is doing here and why it's so important. Eyebright is helping us. We always think that this has to do with our eyesight. It does, but it's not particularly, it's not a direct one-on-one reason why it helps our eyes. The reason it helps our eyes in this scenario, why it's so effective with things like allergies, it helps restore the mucosal lining. And so when you are blowing your nose or you have histamine, that mucosal lining is being broken down, and now you don't have the regular white blood cell deposits there to help fight things off. So we want to restore that normal mucosal lining in our throat, in our nose, and in our eyes. And Eyebright is one of the fantastic herbs. So this formula, Sinus Forte, has Eyebright in it, Goldenrod and Golden Seal. The Goldenrod and Golden Seal, again, they too are going to help increase mucosal lining. And I know that sounds kind of odd that you're increasing mucus, but your body is lined with this, especially through your intestines and through your throat and your nose. And this is where you have your defenders. But if you're blowing your nose like I am about 50 times a day right now, you're getting rid of all that mucus. And then unfortunately, that mucosal lining, not just the mucus, but the mucosal lining. And therefore, now I don't have a defense mechanism. So now things can literally just fly into my nose, and I'm even more vulnerable if I go back into my chicken coop or I'm hanging out with my dogs. And that's an interesting thing. So I typically don't have dog allergies. I grew up with dog allergies. I don't have any dog allergies now. But right now, when I'm vulnerable like this, I definitely notice that my body's responding, and it has a little bit of this allergy response to even the pets that I have, that I'm, hugging and kissing on every single day. So again, it's all about the host, and we're trying to make the host a little bit stronger. So Sinus Forte, Eyebright, Goldenrod, Golden Seal, Echinacea, of course. Everyone knows that that's a great white blood cell modulator, so it's activating white blood cells to make sure that they can do their job, not too much, not too little. And then they also a little bit of cayenne in there, which helps circulation. And when we have histamine and inflammation, unfortunately, things start to get clogged up. And so that's number two. So it's Echinacea, Sinus Forte, and I got one more here for you. The last one is Allerco. And again, this is both of these last two that it's mentioned here. These are from MediHerb. And again, I'll do my best to make sure in the show notes. And Allerco is made up of a couple different literally home run herbs. And one is black cumin seed. I'll talk about that in just a moment. Chinese skullcap, and then albizia. Albizia is your absolute best friend when it comes to itchy eyes and itchy nose. So if you've ever been there, I am there right now. I want to itch my eyeballs out. And albizia calms that down almost what it feels like immediate. So therefore, and then it wears off a little bit, and we have to go back until my body is restoring all of these good health benefits. So albizia, great for the itchy eyes. Chinese skullcap and black cumin seed are phenomenal for reducing histamine. So that's a big one right there. Reducing the histamine is absolutely huge. So your body's not having this hyper response of histamine, because then it clogs up the liver, and then everything backs up again, and then you get more, blowing your nose and fluids coming out of your body and whatnot. So those three right there. This is going to be a quick one for you. I probably shouldn't be doing this. Probably should be saving my voice. So it's Allerco, it's Sinus Forte, and Echinacea. If you have an acute sinus issue, your head's congested, you're pounding headache, your eyes are itchy, your throat's swollen, your glands are swollen, kind of like I'm dealing with right now. But the nice thing is I also expect that within a short period of time, this is going to go away. A couple reminders too here that we always want to make sure that we're taking care of the lifestyle part of this. Super hydrate, exaggerated, absolute strict avoidance of sugar. Sugar feeds that entire inflammatory process. And if you're not hungry, don't eat. Oftentimes your sensory, especially for smell and taste, are going to be inhibited. So be careful about eating, force feed eating, because your body, especially your digestive system, is not ready for it. So we never want to eat if your body's not asking for that food. And then, of course, last but not least, get some rest. If I was going to throw one more thing in here, and then we're wrapping this up, an herbal throat spray. Same thing through MediHerb, absolutely fantastic. The benefit here, and I use this, now I'm thinking about it, there's a fourth thing here, because my throat's all swollen, I'm using this herbal throat spray through MediHerb. And my favorite two, there's a bunch of different ingredients here. My favorite two, well, three. Marshmallow root is phenomenal for soothing a sore throat, especially a throat. And the reason it's sore, folks, is because that mucosal lining's gone. So we want to help restore that, not just lubricate, but we want to restore that. And that's the other herbs we talked about. The marshmallow root is going to continue in that same light of helping restore and lubricate the actual throat itself. A little bit of echinacea, and also myrrh is in that herbal throat spray. All right, folks. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. Yes, if you hear this, you're just tuning in. I am a little stuffy. This is all about the acute sinus issues, the acute allergies that you have. You're going to run into them every now and then, and there are healthy options for us to do and use. That's why I just shared those with you, instead of needing to turn to drugs and whatnot. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Keep doing your thing. Keep sharing it out. Keep spreading the love. We appreciate you. Make sure you take deliberate action for your mind, your body, your overall wellness. Y'all be awesome.